Bliss. Hi guys, it's Paul from Crowborough Guitar Tuition and welcome back to another lesson. This week we are looking at the second track from Muse's Origin of Symmetry album called Bliss. Often one of the tracks that back in the Origin of Symmetry days Muse would use as their encore. And it's a great track. There's not a huge amount to it, but there's a couple of synth parts where you've got some options. So let's leap straight into that without further ado. So in the intro you'll notice that you've got this kind of arpeggiated piano piece on a synth around the chords that we've got for the rest of the song are a C minor, a B flat and an F minor, which is the main riff there. Now you can play this in different ways and I've seen Bellamy play it differently. So what you could do as a kind of simple thing, I've put a bit of light drive on the guitar and I've got a slight bit of delay. Really just one, you hear the trail there is literally one repeat. So I just want to give a little bit of create a bit of sound, but not anything that's going to get in the way. So we could start with this C minor. Now, if you think of the E minor shaped bar chord with its root at the 8th fret, then you've got C minor there. Now, I would just play a fragment of it, so bar across at the 8th fret on the E, B and G strings, and I would use those to kind of just arpeggiate the that chord. Then I would think, well, let's take our E-shaped bar chord at the with its root at the 6th fret, which is a B flat, and again play a fragment of that, just those top 3 strings. So we're barring at the 6th fret across E and B, and then we've got us with our first finger, and then we've got our second finger at the 7th fret on the G string. And I would just use the same pattern, starting at the E string and arpeggiating round. And then I'd move up to an F sharp. So imagine your A minor shaped bar chord. Sorry, not an F sharp, an F minor. So root at the 8th fret on the A string, A minor shaped bar chord. And again, we're only going to play the top 3 strings. So I tend to, because I'm going to bar some of those other chords as we move around, I tend to use my first finger to bar across the 3 strings like I did when I was doing that C minor. And then I take my second and third fingers and put them down in front of it. So I've got my second finger at the 7th fret, no, 9th fret, 9th fret on the B, and my third finger at the 10th fret on the G. And I just arpeggiate around the same pattern. So you're kind of getting that nice effect, and I've seen Bellamy play the part like that as well, like when they played it live, back in the day when it really was just the 3 of them on stage and there were no extra people doing stuff. So you could do it like that, or you might have noticed in the intro I arpeggiated a little bit. Now, it's still a bit tricky, and there are lots of different arpeggios you could do to do this part, and you might even be able to do 6 or 5 strings arpeggios. All I've done is I've taken an arpeggio for the C minor, and it's starting at the G, on the G at the 12th fret. So we're following this shape. So we're going 12th fret with my first finger on the G. I'm using my second finger then at the 13th fret on the B string. First finger goes back to the 11th fret. And then fourth finger's got to come in on that G up at the 15th fret. So that's a pull-off. Okay, now we're going to try, in terms of what we're doing with this hand, the aim is we're not picking those all individually, we're kind of doing all down picks through to that 11th fret. And then, so you're just kind of pushing through. If you've not done much sweeping, you don't want to kind of, idea is that you get this kind of smooth motion. Now I find, to do this motion, I find my hand kind of moves in a slightly circular motion as I go down and up, rather than straight up and down. You might find something else works for you. So we've got an up on that pull-off, and then we're back to that 13th fret on the B, also on an up, and then we're going to go back to a down for that first note there on the G at the 12th fret. And so on. So you want to take some time just to go slowly and build it up, and actually it's not as fast as you think it might be. Then what we're going to do for the B, so that's the C minor. For the B flat, we move down, so actually our first finger now starts 2 frets lower at the 10th fret on the G, and we follow almost the same pattern, but our first finger is only moving down 1 fret to the 10th there. So you've got a kind of D shape, which is the B flat at this point. So we're still doing that same sweep, down, 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 up, up, down again. Now the F minor is a little bit trickier. We're going to using basically arpeggiating part of that F minor bar chord, those top 3 strings. So our third finger then is going to come to the 10th fret. So where we were for that B flat to start, actually we're going to use our third finger now. So third finger at the 10th fret on the G, second finger at the 9th on the B, first finger at the 8th on the E, and then we've got a bit of a stretch with our fourth finger up to the 13th fret, so we're going to hit that F there. And then we go back to where we started on that C minor shape again. So you should have a kind of or something of that kind of like. So I would experiment with that. You can do the F sharp in another place. Sorry, it's not an F sharp. I keep saying F sharp. The F in another place. You could do it as a, so barring across the 13th frets there, as if you were playing an F sharp minor chord. Not F sharp, F minor chord. Now that I think is technically easier, but I think in terms of where the chord sits tonally in relation to the other two, I want to drop down and go down the neck rather than go back up at that point. At the end of the day, do what you want to do. So that will kind of help you to kind of emulate that piece there. Now in terms of the main riff that kind of crops up every now and again, it's just those chords that we've talked about, but played down as bar chords. So we've got a C minor chord. So root at the 3rd fret on the A string, and we've got an A minor shaped bar chord. Then we go down to an A shaped bar chord, but at the 1st fret on the A string, so that's a B flat, only playing those 4 middle strings. And then we've got an E minor shaped bar chord, which we're moving up, well, just an E minor that we're moving up 1 fret, barring to make an F minor, and then back to our C minor. And in terms of rhythm, you've got this. So there's a lot of kind of clicking going on. Have a listen to the track. Once you've got the 3 chords, it's very easy to kind of get the rhythm in there. Now in the verse, it's a bass part. There might be some synthy bits going on. Bellamy tends to pick around those same chords again because it follows the same progression. So if you want to just pick around, do that. Or whatever, you know, so you can hear how it fits, or you could just arpeggiate up here again. whatever you fancy. If you're singing and playing, you probably want to do something that's quite simple. But do something that fits. If you want to sit back and let the bass do the work, do that. When we get to the chorus, we've got some very simple chords. We've got a C, we've got an A minor, we've then got a C over G, so we're going to keep that same position where we've got our A minor at the moment. We're just going to lift that third finger off and plonk it down on the G at the third fret on that E string. So you got this time go to an E. So you can hear there how it goes from just playing in fourths into eighths. Okay, so just listen to the track, look at the tab, you'll see how that goes. At the end of those E's, hangs for a second and then we're back into our F minor to get us back into the riff. And so on and so forth. The only other section of this kind of part we could octaves, that's played with octaves in the middle, that goes like this. So we're going to take that octave shape. Now if you've not done a lot of octaves, we're starting here, it's a C octave. So first finger on the A string at the third fret, third finger at the fifth fret on the G string. So we've got that D string in between, but that's going to be muted by the back of our first finger. So we shouldn't hear that. And actually our first finger and third finger should also be touching these top strings above them so that we get that muted. I find my first finger tends to touch this bottom E string as well. So actually, all strings are either, even if I hit all the strings, the two I want to ring out, the rest of them are always muted. So we've got a C at the third fret there. We've also got a C at the third fret on the G string there, sorry, at the fifth fret on the G string. So they're called octaves, C to C. So we're starting off on that C. So you can hear there it's mostly eighths, but with a couple of sixteenths at the end. Then we move up 2 frets for a D octave. Then we're up to the first finger at least, so I give the roots here at the 8th fret, so third finger at the 10th fret, so an F. So we're going from the 8th fret root there, down to the 6th fret, then down to the 5th fret. So you've got 3 on each and then 2, 3 on the last one as well, but quicker. Then we go up 1 to the 6th fret. Same pattern, but we're going 6th fret, 5th fret, 3rd fret. And then we go up to the 7th, not 7th, 5th and 7th. So we're going 5, 3, 1. This time all in 8s. And then we're going down for our octaves down onto the E string now. So we're going down to the 4th fret root and then 3rd and 1. And then we finish back on that C where we started, and we've got this rhythm. Okay? And that takes you through that. Now the rest of the song, really, all it is just going back around those bits. We've got our main riff, we've got our arpeggiated bits, and we've got the chorus chords. Apart from that, that's it. So again, a great song with not a massive amount of stuff in there, which shows you don't need to be the most technically adept player to create amazing songs and be a good songwriter. So the only really tricky part is if you want to do some of those arpeggios in a slightly more advanced way with the sweeping. If you can't do it, don't worry about it, or just have a go. Work, start with the easy one, try the slightly harder one, and build up to it, and then just see how you go. Apart from that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and tune in for another one at some point next week. Thanks. Bye. Hi guys, thanks for watching. For more guitar tips and video lessons, click on the subscribe button down below, and let me know in the comments what songs or video lessons you'd like to see. If you want to keep up with some of our news, you can like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter, or you can always check out our website, crowboroughguitartuition.com.